Hi, I'm Riley with the Latha Ford RV Center. Today we're going to go over how to hook up the equalizer load stabilizing hitch. So on this, the load stabilizing hitch is going to be used to equalize the weight of the trailer and put more weight on the tongue and stabilize it for travel. It comes with a hitch, which a technician will set up ahead of time for the proper height for your vehicle. You're gonna back the hitch into the trailer, and first thing you're gonna wanna do is hook the trailer ball and secure it in place. That way we can use the tongue jack to do most of the heavy lifting. We're then gonna take the load stabilizing bar with the U-shaped notch. We're gonna place it into its mount. Then we're gonna take its pins, go from the inside out, and then use the cotter key to keep it in place. We would repeat this step for the other side, which I've already done. You're gonna take your load stabilizing bar, you're gonna put it next to the trailer's bracket. It's an L-shaped bracket. You just wanna make sure that your load stabilizing bar is not underneath the bracket. Bring it to within about an inch of the bracket. If you aren't able to get it picked up and put onto the bar, we would raise the tongue jack until the bar gets up and you are able to mount it onto the bracket. If you still, with the trailer raised all the way up, cannot quite reach the bracket, you've got this little snap bar. You'll then place the hook inside the square hole on the bracket, put the bar in the hook, and raise it to snap it in place. Once your equalizer load stabilizing bar is on to the bracket, you're going to take this clip in the L shape. The L shape sits on top of the bar, and place it in there on top of the bar and lock it in place. At that point, you will hook up everything else just like you would a regular trailer. Then you will lower your trailer, and that will spread the load to the truck. When you're hooking up your trailer to your truck, you want to make sure the pin is locked down on top of the ball and you have your trailer pin in place securing your hook. Take your load security chains, hook them in. Then you want to take your breakaway trailer connection, bring it through and hook it onto itself, adjusting to ensure that it's not too tight so you have the turn radius, but also so it's not sagging too far and hitting the ground. Then you will take your trailer power connection, hook it onto your truck, give it a tug, make sure it's locked in place. Now you are ready to enjoy your trip.
Hi everybody, Kurt Cross here with the Latha Ford RV out in Gardner, Kansas. I've got the Wildwood travel trailer here today. This is one of the units that's included in our rental program. So if you have a nice family size and you want to come by and take a look and see what the options are for utilizing, of course you would need a good sized pickup truck to be able to pull this, but we do have several options that might work for you, even a little bit smaller unit. But come by and say hi and we'll be happy to show this unit to you. Okay, here on the Wildwood, here are your water connections that you of course would be hooking up to once you're at the RV park. The city water connection right here is just a simple open take the drinking water hose that we have up front with the water regulator on it, and it would attach here. The other end would go right over to your water main that you'd be getting for your water. This one over here is your fresh water connection, and freshwater connection is going to be for filling up that onboard water tank. It's approximately a 35-gallon tank. With these travel trailers, what we recommend is that you put just a little bit of water on board. If you've got a long trip, maybe 8-9 hours or more, that way you could stop at any point and use the restroom on the inside as long as you have a little bit of water. If you put all that water on board prior to taking off, it's just going to make the unit a little bit heavier. And so for that reason, we do recommend that you only put maybe 5 to 15 gallons of water on board. That'll be sufficient enough to use for the restroom for those brief stops when you do stop. Up top here, we've got an outdoor shower, hot and cold water. So of course, once you're hooked up to city water at the RV park, you'll have the access to hot and cold. Otherwise, it would be running off of the fresh water tank. You also on this unit have what they call a black tank flush. And black tank flush is just an option to add more water when you're flushing out your black tank, which we're going to get to here in just a second. That's totally optional. You don't have to use that. But if you do decide you want to hook that up, make sure that down under here on your dump station that you've got that black tank opened up. That will allow that water to come out immediately and not come out on the inside of the trailer, which typically is inside of the toilet. Okay, you got your power cord right here, and that is a 30 amp service cord that you would be hooking up at the RV park. That usually comes with every trailer that we rent. So 30 amp on this will run everything, ACs, lights, all the power that you would need for this particular unit. That and cable for hooking up to cable as well. Okay, let's come on this side. We've got our outdoor kitchen here, and of course you've got a little 12-volt fridge that is running, that gives you the opportunity to have drinks outside here. Right here, you've got a hookup for an outside sprayer so that you can have water over here on the side where you might be doing some cooking. And then of course you've got your little Blackstone kind of griddle here with a full hose that would go down underneath for a hookup to the onboard propane that would allow you to run this griddle out while you're out camping. Okay, and then plenty of room for storage as well. One last item down under here that I'm going to point out, this trailer does come with what they call stabilizers, and it's those little arms that come down underneath the trailer, and they're just looking to attack the ground and touch the ground. You're not trying to pick the tires off the ground. You're just really looking to give you some stability, and that's going to help on the inside when somebody is walking around. It'll take a little bit of that rocking motion out of the trailer. But again, they are stabilizers. You've got a switch here that controls the back side, and I've got 2 more up in the front that would give you a little stability up underneath the bed. Okay, let's move over to the doorway. Of course, you've got your great steps here. These are super nice, lightweight steps. They are aluminum, and so they're very easy to pick up. And they just attach right there. And then, of course, your door will shut, and you'll have 2 locks. We do recommend that you always lock one or the other, and then that handle will attach over that to make sure that if by some chance that door didn't lock, that it didn't open up all the way, and you'd continue to be driving down the road and have no problems. The only thing that you do have to be aware of when you're opening up this walk entrance door is to make sure that this door is all the way open. As you can see here, if I don't have that door pushed back all the way, this is going to bash into the side and tear up my screen door here. So make sure that that door is pushed all the way open before you bring that out. We do have adjustable legs here that if you're on different types of terrain, that you could bring those out and make those smaller and shorter. But as you can see, they come down and they level up pretty easy to get you into the coach. I got extra power outside here. That's to be able to hook up, and you could run some other things outside here. They give you another outside cable hookup if you're in a park and you decide you want to use cable. A lot of folks do travel with their pets. This does make a nice little area to hook the dog up on a long leash to be able to keep them close by, but to give them a little bit of freedom. So those are always available and nice. Over here we got our hot water tank, and that is a continuous hot water tank. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get on the inside, but that gives you access out here. Most of the time that is just for a technician to get in there and to do some work. This vent right here is your vent from your furnace, and of course when the furnace is running that gets hot. So you want to make sure if you've got any little ones traveling with you that and you're running the furnace, that nobody is touching that. One last thing here before we move on, we've got the big beautiful awning out here. And our awnings are controlled from the inside of the unit. They go out approximately about 10 to 12 feet when they're all the way out. As you can see right now, the way I've got this set up, we've only got it out about maybe 3, maybe 4 feet. And that might be sufficient for your trip. The thing you have to be careful about with these awnings is that the wind gets underneath of them and treats them kind of like a parachute. So you really got to take care, keep an eye on them. And if you're getting any wind gusts over the amount of 18 miles an hour, you want to make sure that you put that awning in. 2 rules that we try to operate by. People use those rules. They shouldn't have any problem. The first one is during the day. If you decide to leave and you're going to go somewhere and not be close by to keep an eye on that awning, that you just put it in before you leave. And then at night, right before your head hits the pillow, if you'll put it in, you shouldn't have any problem. Sometimes when you're out camping, a storm or something blows up in the middle of the night and it could do some damage. So again, put that awning in at nighttime when you're sleeping and not out here using it. You can see some nice LED lights that light up. We've also got some nice little blue outdoor speakers. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get on the inside. Storage on this unit is all up underneath the bed. On the inside is where the bed is, but this is all storage that goes all the way back. We got a few things here. We've got some power plug-ins here that we can plug into. I've got a light control here that gives us more access lighting, and then I've got another switch up here that controls our lighting up on the front of the coach, which is really nice. If you're traveling at night, it just gives some more visibility of the trailer. Or if you're in a campground and you want to look cool, turn on those lights and you'll have a nice little illumination out there that will light up your campground area. Again, another front stabilizers here. We don't have those down currently, but that would be the button that we would push and those arms would come down and would give us some stability up underneath here. Okay, up here on the front, we're going to talk a little bit here. We've got our propane tanks here. We've got 2 20-pound propane tanks, and those propane tanks are full when you leave with any rental, and we make sure that those have been taken care of. Also, you've got the 1 battery here that you operate off of, and on the other side over here, I'm going to show you when we get done here in the front, your main battery disconnect, which we typically turn on before you leave, and we want that to continue to stay on for your trip. We're going to talk a little bit more here. Riley is actually going to demonstrate the hookup and the hitch and all those things for you in another video that we'll do that here after we're done with this walkthrough. Okay, let's go over on this side. Of course, all of these units, and we demonstrated the 30 amp cord that was plugged in the back. They're going to be right here. And our water hose with our water regulator that we talked about in the back. We also usually include an adapter that would take us from a 30 amp service up to a 50 amp. So if by some chance you get to an RV park and the person behind the counter tells you, oops, sorry, we gave away your 30 amp service, we don't have any more 30 amp, you could use this adapter. That would take you from a 30 to a 50. So as long as the park had a 50 amp service, you could stay hopefully right there in that RV park using the 50 amp service. We also usually supply with these an adapter that goes from 30 amp to 110. We do get a lot of customers that come in the day before they're getting ready to leave town to do their rentals, and they're going to be going at home for the night. And this would allow you to plug into a 110 adapter in your garage or outside your house. That's going to be enough power to put the slide outs, maybe turn on the lights on the inside, and to also keep that a fully electric refrigerator running 24/7. So those things cool down very rapidly. Usually it only takes about an hour for the fridges to get nice and cold. So you theoretically could go ahead and load your refrigerator that night and let it run off of the 110 plug all night, and everything would stay ready to go, so that all you got to do is unplug in the morning and hit the road. So those are also included. We also include some of these little leveler blocks. That's a group of 10 of those in there, and it just gives you some options. If you're parked out in a grassy area, or some chance maybe a dirt area, and there's a chance of rain, you could take one of these little plastic levelers here and put underneath those arms that come down underneath for stabilization, and that way those arms aren't going to get stuck into the dirt or the ground if the ground gets wet. So we always include a bag of those as well. And then here's that battery disconnect that we talked about. And I don't have my light on me, but you can see it right back there where I'm pointing. That is the main battery disconnect. If you were going to be out camping, obviously you want that in the on position the whole time. Usually the only time that we turn off the battery disconnect is when we're storing the vehicle for a couple of weeks or more and the unit is not being used. So that's everything up here. We're going to move the rest of the walk around to the inside of the unit, and we'll talk a little bit more then. Okay, here we are on the Wildwood travel trailer. A few options here on your control panel. You can see this little button right here. When that lights up, that's telling me that our freshwater tank is empty. So if you did have any water on board, it's going to light up a third, 2/3, or of course a full. And again, the freshwater tank is only the water that you would be using when you're traveling. If you pulled off the side of the road and you wanted to stop and use your restroom, that'll tell you how much water you have on board. Our battery button is right next, and you can see it's all lit up all the way over, so we got a full charge on our battery. The next one is our black tank, and this particular unit right now currently is empty. So E is for empty, F is for full. So that's the way we like those units when they're first heading out for a travel, that we want that black tank emptied. Gray tank is, of course, the dirty water, and it's empty as well. And then this particular coach also has an optional gray on it. It's showing a little something in there, but that would be emptied obviously before you would be taking out. Auxiliary tank is an optional on this coach, and we don't have anything on that particular unit on the auxiliary side. Water pump is controlled right here, and the only time you're going to be using the water pump in one of these units is if you do pull off the side of the road to use the restroom while you're traveling, and you want some water to flush the toilet, or if somebody needs to take a shower, or just to wash hands, soap and water. You could turn on the water pump, and that's going to allow you to use that water that's in that fresh tank. Once you get to the RV park, no longer would you need the fresh water, so that water pump could be turned off and not be turned back on until you start traveling again. We also have what they call tank heaters on this coach. Tank heaters, they put a little bit of heat into the black and the gray tank. They're more for cold weather camping, and to make sure that those tanks don't freeze up during that cold weather. I got light switches right here, interior and exterior lights. And then these buttons right here, one controls the awning to go in and out that we talked about earlier. And then the other button here is for our slide out. We've got one slide out on this unit. So it's all the way in or all the way out on our slide outs. Okay, we're going to jump right over here to the other side and talk a little bit here about our little dinette area. So our dinette area, in this area, the way it's set up right now is obviously for people to sit and dine, but this does break down into a bed, And of course, you just take that little lever back there loose. You push this table down and it goes right here and sits on these little wooden areas. And then we use our back cushions to fill in and make those into a bed if you should need to have another area. It's not huge, so obviously this could be an area for children to be able to have a space if you need for extra dining or for a bed, okay? Refrigerators. Our refrigerators are fully electric, and we've got a freezer area as well as the refrigerator side, fully electrical. So again, once you turn them on, they take about maybe an hour for them to cool down and to get ready for you to start utilizing. All right, let's head into the bedroom area here. We've got a full queen size bed, and all of our rentals, of course, we do have mattress protectors on all of our beds. Those are all questions that we put into our customer sheet that is filled out by the customer each time that they do a rental. Good storage on both sides. You're gonna see hanging bars on both sides. Access back here for outlets. So if you needed a night light, or USB for charging phones at night. And then of course, this gives you some additional storage and access to that compartment that was outside with all your hoses and things, as well as they always include some nice baskets and things down here for you to use for your storage. And then of course we do have the door right here that slides over and gives you privacy. One last thing on this bed is adjustable, and so I'm going to run it up here a little bit and I'll get out of the way so you can see that bed will come up and give you access to have it adjusted up so that if you want to sit up in bed that you've got that capability as well. And you got a light switch on this bed as well that controls all your lighting. Next item here on our Wildwood travel trailer is our AC and our heat controller. The way that you operate these is you just push the button. Right now they're both reading off. You push the button and then you can see it start to flash, and then I move it over to, let's say I want heat. I would then push it in to set the heat, and now I turn it over and then there's my temperature, and I can set my temperature at 63, currently reading 57. So now my heater is up and running. Once it reaches that 63 mark, just like any thermostat, it's going to fluctuate off and on to allow to reach that temperature that you've got it set at. Okay, got your sink area throughout here. Good lighting underneath. All those lights are up underneath here that you operate those manually with a push button. I do want to also point out, we also include our troubleshooting guide in all of our rentals, whether it be a C-class or an A-class or a travel trailer. And these are specific to each trailer. So they're broken down by room. So if you had something in the living room that you had a question about, and you don't remember what it is that was talked about during the walkthrough, you can come in here and it's going to pretty much answer all your questions. Of course, we do these great videos for all of our units, and it pretty much explains everything that we've got in our units that would help you if you got stuck and you just didn't know the answer. You can go to our YouTube videos at a Lake the Ford RV and watch those as well. Cooktop in here is obviously a gas cooktop, and it's got an oven on it. We got some little fancy lights there that light up. For traveling, you need that glass protector down, but if you got ready to cook and you wanted to use the burners, you open that up and you can see you got 3 burners here. These 3 controls control my burners. I've got what they call the striker, which lights the actual burner, and then I've got an oven button here that I'll demonstrate in just a second. But if you want the back burner on, you just turn that over and you hit the striker, and as you can see, that lights up. If I want my number 2 pilot lit, that lights up, and now we've got those and can adjust that flame accordingly. And then a third one for the 3rd burner. Anytime you're using the cooktop, make sure that you've got these in the off position and of course no flame coming out. And give it a little bit of time for things to cool down. We do not want to put that glass top back over the burners until things have cooled down so we don't shatter that glass, okay? And then the last thing on the oven, ovens are going to be a little bit different. You just turn that over to the pilot light and you're going to push and hold that in. And then you're going to go to your striker and you're going to be looking way back up under here for that pilot light. And that pilot light, sometimes it can take up to 10, 15 strikes to get it to light up. But once the pilot light lights and you see it lit, then you let go here and you crank up the oven. Max temp on this coach is 490 on the oven temperature. So after about 15 minutes, it'll reach the maximum temperature and you should be good to go. Prior to departing for any trip, you always want to make sure all of these levers are in the off position, and that way we don't have any problems with any gas coming out. The striker can actually be left where it's at. It does not have to be in the up vertical position like the others. This unit's got the combination of the TV, the sound bar, and an electric fireplace in this particular unit. And of course, the fireplace can be controlled. I've got other types of power buttons here that will turn on, or you've got a nice little handy remote that will achieve the same thing. And if you're just needing in the morning to take a little chill off in the morning, if it's a little chilly outside, use the electric fireplace. It's going to definitely take care of putting a little heat out, but won't blow you out of here. And you can, of course, change the color and things of that nature on that unit as well. I got a TV remote here that operating our Vizio TV. They are smart TVs, so if you are getting any kind of a hotspot on your phone and you want to stream to that, as long as you have your passwords to your favorite YouTube, Hulu, Netflix channels, you'll be able to set those up and watch TV. And then of course you got a sound bar here as well that's controlled with that. Behind this wall we've got some extra storage, so I'm going to try to position this so you can see in here okay. But this opens up and back in here will give you additional storage, kind of like a pantry area, but you might get a few suitcases and things down underneath there to be out of the way. Got a nice coat rack in there as well, but a nice little hidden area that gives you a capability of storing extra food pantry items for your trip. Okay, we're going to talk about the bunk area right over here. This unit is a great unit for small families. Maybe got a couple, 2 or 3 kids that they want to travel with. The bunk beds area here for the kids is really a nice little area. Each unit has got their own lighting, own USB and plug-in for any other power sources that you might need. And of course you've got then the privacy curtain that can be pulled over to give a little bit of privacy in there at night. And then the last item here that we'd like to talk about is the restroom. Obviously here in this travel trailer, you've got a full shower, the sink, and of course your toilet area, all the wet things that go on in all the travel trailers. But good unit size, definitely enough room for people to get in there and shower, use the restroom throughout the stay. Okay, that's going to kind of wrap it up here with the inside of our Wildwood travel trailer. We're going to continue outside with a couple of things, and we look to see you here at Olathe Ford RV. We just now finished our walk outside and inside on our Wildwood travel trailer. Hope you enjoyed the walkthrough and maybe learned a couple of things along the way. This unit is included in our rental program, so if you decide you want to come by and take a look at it and see if it might work for your family for a nice long weekend, or if you're going on an extended trip and you need maybe 10 days or 2 weeks, to travel around, this might be a good unit for you. So come by and say hi to us, and we'll be happy to show it to you. Thanks again.